You Orns. Greetings, fellow Watford fans. Omar here, and it's time for the You Orns transfer window wrap. That's right. Over the last 2 months or so, Watford have been dabbling in the transfer market, perhaps not as often as we would have liked for the first significant portion of the window. But my goodness, over the last 2.5 weeks or so, Watford ramped up their activity and ended up bringing in some quality signings that I think will be an asset and a complement to the pre-existing Watford players in this men's first team. I think the Watford front office did a very fine job with this window, all in all, when you tote up everything. After a seemingly slow start, I think this brass really got things right with the kind of player they brought in. Dynamic, exciting, motivated footballers who look to complement and add to the exuberant start that Watford have had. 5 for 5, 100% record in August. And as we are still in August, it is worth savoring that mark. It's been a long time since Watford won their first 5 games of any season. Remember, the last time that Watford got out of the traps so good was, if you cast your mind back to 2018, when Javi Gracia joined us earlier in that calendar year and then set the world alight, really, with that season in 2018-19 when Watford started the Premier League season by winning their first 4 games before falling at home to Manchester United. You remember that. It was a 2-1 defeat way back when in 2018. That year in 2018, Javi Gracia got the Barclays, or the Premier League Manager of the Month award. And with this 5 for 5 start in August, it's difficult to see how Tom Cleverley won't at least share the award with the Sunderland manager, who also finds himself doing very good things for his club these days. Both teams started the championship season with 3 wins out of 3. And so, with both Sunderland and Watford leading the table, it could be a shared award, or it could go to Cleverley outright, because look, Cleverley's only been at Watford as a manager in the first team for what, all of 12 games if you go back to last season. Really, if you add the 2 Carling Cup games this season, it's been what, 14 games when you think about it. 9 last season, 5 this. But this transfer market has been a successful Watford. It's been better than a lot of windows have been for Watford. How many times have we as Watford supporters sat down after numerous summer transfer windows, and said, what on earth was that? Why haven't they brought in a defender? Why haven't they brought in a backup goalkeeper? What are they doing with the striker? We ain't got no striker. What have we done here in the midfield? We're light in midfield. Well, this window's been a different story, because this window has shown us the versatility and variety of player that the front office has brought in this off-season. Tom Cleverley has had his eye on a number of these recruits, and I'm very pleased that he's brought them in. He seems to be very happy with what he's got, and so am I. And so are a number of Watford supporters. Very pleased with the likes of Ogbonna coming in, with the signing of Musa Sissoko, who I think is the most important Watford signing in this transfer window. Bringing him back here has been a very important thing. I think it's the best signing of the lot. And that's including the likes of Daniel Jefferson, who has joined us as a striker, who I think is going to do very well at Watford. I think he's got more than 1 or 2 things to prove to his former, or at least his current employer, which is Bournemouth, who have only played him twice in the very short time he's been here. Look, he's only been here since July, at Bournemouth, that is. He's only been at Bournemouth since July. But he got 45 minutes of playing time the other night against West Ham. Klebs was in the crowd watching him in attendance at the London Stadium, and he played the first 45 minutes. I don't know if he's going to play on Sunday against Sheffield United, his former club, but I definitely think he should come off the bench and play in that game if he has an opportunity to play, and I hope he does. But look, there's some other signings that I think caught the eye for Watford in this transfer market. There's so many of them. There's Vata, there's Tivic, there's Dumbia, who was actually signed back in February. There are players that I think are younger players who I think are going to really impact this team down the road. Whether you have a guy like Kevin, who plays in defense, who is a good defender. He's got a slight knee injury at the moment, knee problem, but he's supposed to be back in a few short weeks' time. And of course, you've got Pierre Doma, who is a player who can play in midfield for you. Um, the sky's the limit for this Watford side. Maybe we needed one more middle midfielder in addition to what we have with Doma, but in Domo, but I can't complain. I really can't nitpick with what we have so far. When you've got Jonathan Bond in as your veteran goalkeeper, we know Bondy from previous years at Watford. I think it was really smart of them to bring back veteran players in positions in the pitch that they can lead in to accentuate and be leaders for the youth in those same positions. At first I had some real misgivings about Tom Ince being given a 2-year deal. But after he scored that hat trick against MK Dons not too long ago, and after when you consider the fact that in that forward line area is where Ince is usually on the right hand side or so, perhaps the middle drifting off right. You can see he's going to be a veteran leader for those younger players that are going to be bedded in. When you see an Ogbonna coming in from West Ham as the central defender, he is going to be an important asset, another leader in the back line. So he can be the veteran there to be an anchor toward the players like Pollock and Sierralta. And then you've got the likes of Musa Sissoko in midfield. He can be an anchor there for the Domos, for the TDBs of the world in midfield, giving them permission to be who they are and play football with freedom. That's what Cleverley does too. He has given these lads the permission, the freedom to play their football and to enjoy football, which we had not seen our lads do at the Vic very often. Enjoy their football, play together, play as a team together on the pitch at the Vic, where now we are spotless, aren't we, at the Vic? 4 wins out of 4. Last season, the entire season, we only had 6 wins at the Vic. Incredible. And Tom Cleverley's already put down the remit before the season began, of course, about how many games he wanted to win every blooming game at the Vic. And so far, he's got his wish, hasn't he? 4 from 4, as opposed to 6 the entirety of last season. That's really a sensational statistic in and of itself when you consider that's 4 home wins on the spin within a 2.5, 3 week space. And to win all 4 of those in succession like that with no road games in between is something that we've not seen at the Vic in a long, long time. And so it's very encouraging. And that's before we had all this new lot come in. And so when you consider what we've got, these players are going to be, I think, a very good asset. Now, look, there'll be some of these that might get loaned out before we get the final trimming down of the squad to what, 25 players. But we've got a solid group of players now who are going to be excited about playing as a team for Watford. They know what the record is. Winning is contagious. You get to this point now where you've won 5 of 5, you're 100%. You get new players in, and that winning is infectious. It's contagious. Everybody wants to be a part of it. So everybody naturally is going to gravitate to that team ethic to try to maintain what has been a really strong start for our Golden Boys. And when you figure out you've got these new players, they're going to be buzzing to make an impact, and they will want to be in part of this. They want a piece of this streak right now, and they want to feel connected. And the way to do that is play team football, play for the shirt, and do your very best as a Watford lad on that pitch, no matter whether you're home or away. And so I think these signings have been very, very smart signings from the club. Disciplined, not panicky, not trying to keep up with the Joneses, not trying to do anything flashy, but just stay within yourself and bring in players that want to play in the system that Clevs has, players that will fit the model that Clevs is looking for, and players who are going to be positive influences both off and on the pitch, and certainly in the dressing room, because that's where I think some of the things went wrong with Watford over the years, that they didn't have good, strong leaders in the dressing room when things would kind of go off the rails. But now I think there's a cohesiveness. You can see it, you can feel it. And with these signings, you bring that stability, you bring that family-like atmosphere within the players, and that rubs off on everybody. The fans are more invested. You give the fans something to get into and shout about and cheer about and get behind you for. And that's what these signings have really helped bolster now with the winning spirit that the Watford team has now. And look, Bio's going to be leaving the club at the end of the season. Some Watford fans will not be shedding a tear on that. But the fact is that you need a bio in here, at least for this season, to start to do what he does, which is work hard. But obviously, you need him to score goals, and that's why you've got Jefferson in here now, who I think will do that. Rajovic obviously is going to be sticking around as well, and even though I have some misgivings about him, he is finding the back of the net. You can't say that he's not. He scored three already for Watford this season, including that brace the other day against Plymouth. And I think that he's also been a match winner for you. So he's been a match winner for you twice. First game of the season and now the most recent game of the season. So look, I think that this group of signings is a very good lot. If I had to revise my grade again, this would be the third change of the second time I've changed it. I initially said on the podcast episode released on August the 30th, which you can find on Apple and on Spotify on You Orns, that podcast episode, I said B minus, but that was before there was one more signing that came in. That was Festi, who came in late on Friday before the window shut. And so I went to a B. And now I think, in terms of thinking of everything again, I think this is actually a B plus Watford transfer window. It's been a long time, I think, since I've actually given Watford a B plus grade for their summer business. But I think they've done a very good job. Look, they got money for Espria. They got a good bit of coin from his sale. They're going to get some kind of thing, I think, from Wesley Hood. If not, then certainly from some of the other players they've had to let go. Shaq Ford has left. Samuel Carlu has left, which is too bad we didn't see more from both of them, but they're both gone. Carlu's contract ended by mutual consent. He's out the door. Don't know where he'll be going next. And obviously, Dennis departed, of course, during the summer, and Shaq Ford off to Bristol Rovers. So those are ones that Bristol Rovers, I think Shaq Ford will have a very good career with them. I wish him all the very best, and I wish Kalu the very best as well, wherever he ends up. And of course, Espria as well, obviously the very best to him as he is off to Spain to Girona. And he will be playing, and I think that's La Liga, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, that might be La Liga for Girona. And yes, it is La Liga. So he'll be playing there. I might see him a bit on TV here, stateside. But we'll see how that goes. But it's been good so far for Watford. I mean, these signings, you can't complain about these signings. Obviously, there's going to be some look, there's going to be some periods of disappointment at Watford. There's always going to be parts of a season where the team's going to struggle. Well, there's going to be some kind of adversity, and that's what tests your character. These lads have already shown character in the first 5 games of this season. The games that they won in the championship, where they beat Stoke, strong game there after it was a bit of a tough first half, difficult first half for the most part. But second half, they got going and really kept going in the game. But the game against Derby County, character shown coming from behind so early, down 1-0, and then coming from behind there to win. And of course, the situation with Millwall, strong performance there. They ended up getting that job done over the line. They got it done with a late winner. So this team finds different ways to win games. More clean sheets. The defending's been better so far this season, a lot sturdier, less nervy. There's some obvious moments of problems with the defense. And look, I think they've done enough with the defending now with these new signings. They've had at least 3 more defenders in here. So, Kevin, the likes of Ogbonna. There's another defender. I forget if it's Tivich or somebody else that came in to defend as well. Might be Tivich. I think he's a left-sided left center back, which will be helpful. These are all good quality signings. I think Tivich is a defender. Someone can correct me in the comments if I am wrong on that. But these are players who are going to help you. And you want depth in your defending ranks because there's going to be injuries. There always are. No team goes through an entire season without them. So you can bet your bottom dollar or pound or euro, whatever it is you deal with currency wise, that there's going to be an injury or two at Watford. Look, Watford have already got an injury in Imran Loser. So, that's another reason that you need depth in your squad. You need that. We've had a lot of injuries over the last 2 or 3 seasons, at least seasons, and the Loser's been snake bitten with injuries all of those seasons with Watford. So, this is why you need to get these players in. And maybe we could have maybe we could have used an additional midfielder, including, as well as Doma, Pierre Doma for us. But look, the bottom line is I'm not nitpicking. I'm not really nitpicking that much because I think we've done a really good bit of business. Smart money by getting money back for Espria, which will be helpful in what the club chooses to do, allocating money here, allocating money there. What they'll do in January, I don't know. It all depends on how things go between now and January. I don't think they're going to do very much in January, by the way. I know it's fast forwarding 4 months or so, but I don't think they're going to be doing anything in January, very little. And typically, clubs don't do very much in January. That's why you want to build a template now in the late August to lay a foundation, and then you can have more strategy about what you do in January. Maybe you take one player here, one player there, but you're really not going to get anything in the market for January unless, of course, there's some injury situations that you have to address. So we'll see what happens in January. But really now, Watford have laid out a foundation for a successful season. Now, I don't know what that's going to mean. I don't know what's going to look like. That could be playoffs. I think it could be playoffs. Now, I'm not going to change my prediction. I said mid-table, around eighth, ninth, or 10th. That's where I thought they'd finish roughly top 10, around that mid-table-ish area. Some Watford fans have said relegation. That's before the season. This is all before the season started, including my prediction. And some Watford fans said relegation scrap. Some people said relegation period. Other people said they'd probably finish mid-table. So, no one said playoffs for sure, and nobody said automatic or championship title holders. But right now, after 5 games, or at least after 3 championship games, Watford are in the automatic places. Early birds yet, way early. It's early doors, but we'll see what happens here. We've got Sheffield United coming up on Sunday. Should be a rather interesting contest. But for me, again, I changed my grade. This time, the final grade is going to be a B plus. And so I thank the Watford board and Tom Cleverley for really doing some smart business here in these last 2 months. It will make our squad deeper, better, and more exciting to watch at home or away. This has been the You Orns Transfer Window Wrap.